Longtime Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to be pushed out of office in just hours, but he's not giving up without a fight and claims, yes, of election fraud. NBC's Kelly Kobiea is in Jerusalem with more. Kelly, good morning.
Willie, good morning to you. Yes, we may be witnessing the final dramatic hours of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's time in office, a record 12 years in office here in Israel. That vote will happen in the Knesset, the building behind me, just a few hours from now, later today. But in the meantime, Benjamin Netanyahu is not going quietly. This morning, his party released a statement calling the new coalition a, quote, fraudulent government backed by a party, quote, supporting terrorists, saying there's no limit to the shame. Netanyahu, in an echo of President Donald Trump's final weeks in office, has been railing against this new coalition for days now. He's been pushing supporters to pressure and protest against some of the right-wing members of this coalition, tried to push them to drop out. Some of them have received death threats and been given extra police protection. Those tactics have not yet seemed to work. This coalition is holding together. The vote of confidence is expected to pass, bringing in new leadership and, for the first time, representation for the country's Arab population. Remember, Netanyahu is currently on trial for bribery and fraud, charges that he denies. That case could go on for years. And in the meantime, he has no plans to retire. He is 71 years old, but he's planning to be at the top of this opposition party in the government. And, Willie, he's already vowed to bring it down. Willie?
We will see how this plays out today. Kelly Kobiea in Jerusalem for us. Kelly, thanks so much.
Good day, everyone. You've seen that video clip. We've seen the same scenario, a mirror image of Netanyahu and Donald Trump. The two are best friends. The same mirror image. Fraudulent election, fraudulent voting. Yes, but is that the end of the saga? Let's wait and see. I see many debunk Enoch's prophecy of the 70s shepherds. But is that truly debunked? I put a question mark to it. I say absolutely no. You know what? They don't read properly. Enoch saw each shepherd pasturing in its time limit that he have. Netanyahu promised 12 years. David, 42 years. Each one you see it as completed. He didn't see Bennett as completed. See, we'll wait for the scripture now. But many people say that the rapture is going to happen now. Well, I know many look at 20th of June 20th as the date, but it's not going to be. I have 7 videos proving with little scripture, that it will happen at Feast of Trumpets. In fact, YouTube deleted my last video. They took it out and I appealed against it. I took it out, it was off a full day and a half, and it is back now on there. I did immediately put another video on there as well, but it's going at slave pace. These people, they know the truth. They know when it is. September the 6th is not a correct date for Feast of Trumpets. It is in October. In September, let me put it to you. It's very important that you know this. The zodiac is God's timeline, His time clock. And the sun for Passover have to be in Aries. And for Feast of Trumpets, the sun have to be in Virgo. Go look it up where the sun is on 6th September. The sun is in Leo. No, the sun have to be in Virgo. So that's correct, yes. So many people argue with me, no, it's not in October, I'm false and that kind. No, that's not the case here. Enoch's prophet is not debunked because he saw each shepherd pasturing and it's in its complete setting. Netanyahu is not going anywhere. He will be back soon, just like he said, and Donald Trump will be back shortly, just as they both stated. Yes, it's not far from that. This was an Abrahamic covenant with many for 1 week after God is gone. That, of course, is a statement by President Donald Trump. That's what he said. And Netanyahu is going to be one of the kings. Why? They're going off now, both taking a break, for short time while. And this whole matter is just, with Bennett is just arranged. That's what I see it, you know. And with the USA election as well. Donald Trump is preparing for his role next as a Jewish Messiah. And of course, this man will introduce, he will hand over the keys to the Messiah. Yes, and that is right. Yeah, so don't go too far because Netanyahu will be back and Donald Trump will be back. But let's see for the notes. Enoch's prophecy of 70 shepherds of Israel debunked. So Enoch saw each king or whatever, you call it shepherd, you know. So either he speaks in a language for you and you need to interpret, talk about Enoch's talking about animals, eagles and sheep, little lambs and etc. So you need to interpret what he is saying there. You understand what I'm trying to say? But this is like in a vision what he said. In a vision, Enoch, who lived 669 years before Enoch, and I'll give you a link for Enoch on YouTube to go and watch. You can read these scriptures yourself, and you can just page through it, log on to that, and go read it yourself. So in a vision, Enoch, who lived 669 years before Noah's flood. Remember, Enoch, he was 65 years old when he began his walk with God, and he got a son called by the name Methuselah. And Methuselah actually means when he dies, the flood came. And exactly 120 years as God prophesied, said it in Genesis 6 verse 3, the flood came. Yes. So he saw that there would be 70 shepherds of Israel, that's Enoch, and he called 70 shepherds and cars of sheep to them that they might pass to them. Enoch 89, 59 to 66. I'll include that link for you, you can read it. And he saw the first group of 35 shepherds as unique from the other ones to come, which represent the first 35 bad kings. So in actual fact, there were 42 kings, but 7 of them were good kings, just like David, Solomon, Jotham, Jehoshaphat, Josiah, and Asa. Those 7 kings, they were good kings. And that's why he just mentioned the first 35 bad kings. Because he said all those 58 plus those last 12, the last kings, they will all go to hell. And that is what Enoch says, not me, Vincent Vinant, yes. And that's what he says, yes. So, before 586 BC, when Jerusalem was destroyed on the 9th of Av, then carried away in captivity by the Babylons. And the same thing happened again in 70 AD. When Israel, also in 9th of Av, was destroyed, and the temple was destroyed. Then I told that in this manner 35 shepherds undertook the pasturing of sheep Enoch 90 was 1 to 2. Now the vision shows him that all 70 shepherds, including these 35, will go to hell. Yeah, and these 70 shepherds were judged and found guilty, and they were cast into the fiery abyss. That, because you can see that at Enoch 90, 20, verse 22 to 27. Enoch's prophecy of 70 shepherds of Israel. The 23 puppets, of course, ruled. There were another 23 puppets besides the kings of Israel that were rulers over Israel. Not all the sheepfold, propped up by foreign powers. That, of course, was found 539 BC to 70 AD. Yeah, now after the vision of the 35 shepherds, Enoch saw 23 foreign ones ruling over Israel until the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, effectively, all but ending the Herodian dynasty and bringing the total to 58. Yeah, and I saw until that the 20. Now this is what I want to show you the scripture, and that is in courses Enoch 90 verse 5. I saw until 23 had undertaken the pasturing and completed in the several periods of 58 times. All these kings, he saw them complete, those 70 kings. He saw them completing their rule. Like Netanyahu 12, remember, we're right at the 73rd birthday of Israel, and we're overstepping it as well. That will almost be half the year. 80 plus 1948 is 2028 when Jesus will return. That's correct. Yeah, so that will be the time when Jesus will return, and I'll do another update on that video as well. Yeah, now there were many more than 23 rulers who collectively ruled over Israel during this time period. However, some were probably good, like Cyrus, for instance, and Alexander. Which some were just much worse than others and considered outright evil in many cases, such as Antiochus Epiphanes, who sacrificed a pig in the temple altar and set up abomination of desolation. And the same thing will happen again in our generation when the false prophet will set up a statue and make it speak, yes, in the temple. Yeah, and this will happen again. The Bible tells us everything that will happen, you know. And of course we know who the Antichrist is, that this Obama is 69 times removed from this man. 69 times removed from this man. And this is his great-great-great-grandfather. Yeah. And he will finish off what Antiochus Epiphanes supposed to do. Yeah. And, of course, and, so the vision he received may have simply shown Enoch the worst of the worst. So these guys, Nero and Hadrian, they were some of the worst of the worst, you know. Now the 13th PM of Israel will replace BIBI. Now many think it is this man, Bennett. It's not a benefit. He's just there for a short period. He's just there for a short period. Number one, to distract each and everyone. Everybody think now the rapture is going to take place, which should be. And in actual fact, I believe it should have been in 2020. 2020, correct. That should have been, if I worked it correctly according to the Jubilee pattern. However, Jesus changed his mind and having it right on the last day of 2028, which ends the 6,000 years. So Jesus has his own prerogative. He can override what we are thinking, So will it do it again? I doubt so. It will not. We are the hours very late, people. Israel is 73 years, and it cannot go on much longer. The word says here in Revelation 13, verse 13, and it does create. Yeah, that's interesting. The 13th p.m. Yeah, that guy. And you know what this is not? It's not Barack Obama. First come, I know I'm interjecting here. The false prophet, let me please explain it to you again, is the forerunner for the Antichrist. And it's not the Pope. It's not the Pope. Yeah, it is Netanyahu's best friend, and Netanyahu will hand the keys over to him. Yes, and he will work from where? From Galilee, but he will also be the seventh king. Yes, he will rule first in Europe. He will be the seventh king in that area, and of course, who will oversee that area for him? It is, of course, Macron. Macron is preparing the New World Order for Donald Trump. Revelation 13, and he doth great wonders, so that he make fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of man. Yes, there will be a great contest between the false prophet and Elijah, and of course Enoch as well. Bennett is just a distraction for now. Netanyahu calls the election a fraud, just like his best friend Donald Trump. They both took time out to prepare for the new roles that was coming from October 2021 after God is gone. And I'll post these links for you where you can look up the rest of the prophecy of Enoch. So people, prepare for this coming weekend, and of course read Leviticus 23, study the feast of God, and also Exodus 23 from verse 14 onwards. There are 7 blessings if we honor God's feast days, people. He will take sickness away. He'll give you an angel. He will bless your basket. He will bless your bread. He bless your water. There are 7 blessings. If you fight, you'll be an enemy to your enemies. There are 7 blessings in Exodus 23 if you honor God's feast days. Okay? So that is all that I want to tell you. Prepare for this this weekend, June the 20th. It is the original, it is a real feast. It's not, that's not in the past. It is coming up now on June the 20th. Okay, please pray for me. I'm praying for you. I'm always praying for you. And please subscribe and press the notification button. God bless.